Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Today, today we are going to talk about. Can you hear? Can you? Right. Okay. Today we are going to talk about sourcing equipment and its management. By the way, I'm Anand George. I'm working as a product manager in Premium International for critical care department. So I have been asked to do a lecture on sourcing equipment and its management as a guest lecturer. Okay. So just I want to know, I just want to know how, do you have any experience in working in hospitals, or do you have any knowledge about equipments, medical equipments? You don't have any knowledge about equipment. Okay, right. So first we'll do a small introduction about equipment, where the equipment, in order to purchase, in order to source in the equipment, you should know where to keep this equipment, right? And certain area like ICU, there are certain equipments are there. For radiology department, there are certain type of equipments are there. So you have to understand what type of equipment you should buy for your requirement, right? That's the first thing. Then we'll start with ICU, right? So if you take ICU, so if you take ICU, what are the essential points you can find? Right. So what are the essential thing? When you say ICU, what is? Can you distinguish ICU and a ward? Yeah. Anybody? No, correct. So in ICU, patients are more constantly monitored, and they are very critical ill patients, and it can be post surgery patient. It can be different type of patients will be there, right? So monitoring is constant in ICU than the wards, right? So there are set of equipments. Those are different types of equipment which will be placed in ICUs, right? So if you take a radiology department, is something different, right? If you take a radiology department, what kind of equipments you will find? Scanners, X-rays, MRI, CT, right? So those kind of. So who is the concerned person for that? Is it anesthesiology or VP or a surgeon or radiologist? He's a radiologist. He's going to be a radiologist. So when you are talking about sourcing equipment for a radiology department, you have to talk to a radiologist. What is his requirement, right? So there are, when you talk about ICUs, there are various type of ICUs are available. Okay. Okay. So what we are doing is just introduction about source. The lecture is about sourcing of equipments and management. So in order to get first, since I knew that you didn't have that the full knowledge about equipment, what I am going to do is to give a brief knowledge about where to have certain equipments, right? Then you will get an idea to what type of equipment purchase for your requirement. Okay. Right. Okay. So if you take ICU, there are different type of ICUs there in hospitals, right? It can be MICU, right? That is medical ICU and surgical ICUs, trauma ICUs, pediatric ICUs, NICUs, neonatal, and CICU. Is there any other? Now there is a different kind of integrated into this high dependency unit, HDU, right? So that is only available in LRH and I think at NHS. It is you can see high dependency unit. So this is mostly handled by the anesthetists. So they have the very sophisticated equipment. So they are handling for high dependency unit. Okay. So type of medical device and examples. What is capital equipment? Right. So there are different when you are purchasing medical equipments, and there are various things to consider, right? If you are purchasing a MRI, that's a capital equipment, right? If you are purchasing a ventilator, that's a capital equipment. And there are instruments like TPs, that kind of instrument they use in ICUs, right? So that's also falling into instrument that's low cost. The capital equipments are very high costly. And monitoring system. What kind of monitoring systems? There are patient monitoring system. What is patient monitoring system? Yes, known as sometimes called as cardiac monitor. Sometimes it's called as multipara monitor. Right. What you can find out from that? So if somebody asks, what are the parameters you can find out from a patient monitor? That's the basic thing you should know. So first thing is ECG. Then the second one is saturation. That is known as SpO2 probe, SpO2. And the third one, pulse rate, respiration, NIBP, non-invasive blood pressure, and other one. There's a last one, temperature. So those are basic parameters. So the thing is, you have to distinguish when you are ordering for a ICU is different when you are ordering for a ward. If you are ordering a patient monitor for ward, these 5 parameters is more than enough. But if you are ordering this multipara monitor for a ICU, then you have to add few more things. You have to consider few more things. That is EtCO2, end tidal volume, the carbon percentage, CO2 percentage, to measure the CO2 percentage, and invasive blood pressure. So those 2 parameters is essential when you are purchasing for a ICU. So end of my presentation, I will be giving all these slides, right? So you can download to your computer, right? So that's the way you have to look at when you are purchasing thing to place where you are going to place these things, right? And cardiac monitor. They are known as telemetric system. You know what is telemetric? So it is cordless and it monitors same thing, but you are connecting a patient and he moves out. Still, you are monitoring when he walks out or when he go to toilet. Still, it's monitoring its parameters with wireless. It's like this kind of a device. It attaches to the patient, and he walks into a toilet, or still it's monitor all is ECG, NIBP, SpO2 parameters. The second thing is, what is reagents? you are purchasing equipment, it's different, and these are essential part when you are purchasing certain equipments, like blood gas analyzer. It is very essential thing to ICU. Without blood gas analyzer, it's very hard to run a ICU. Right? So for what is a blood gas analyzer? Anybody? To measure the pH level of the patient, right? And CO2, oxygen, right? So for that, in order to measure this, you have to have certain kind of thing, or cartridges, or a certain kind of solutions. That's known as reagents. So once you buy the equipment, once you buy this equipment, you have to keep on change. The cartridge can be used for only one patient, or the reagents can be used for a lot of maybe 100 or 200, depend on your reagent capacity or the machine capacity. And when you are buying this reagent, when you are buying this blood gas analyzer, then you have to see various things, right? Because you are buying reagents, then you have to assess a cost per sample. That also you have to consider when you buy these products. Not only the equipment cost, sometimes the equipment cost may be very low. There are certain companies doing, but some companies give this equipment free of charge, but you have to pay a lot of money for reagents. They will make up all these the equipment costs from the reagents, right? So when you are analyzing, in order to purchasing certain things, you have to do a cost evaluation. How much is going to cost for 5 years? If you are planning to buy equipment for 10 years, then you have to see how much, or if they give a equipment free, sometimes even though they give a equipment free, you end up in a loss, right? So you have to think in a different pattern, certain equipments, right? If you're buying a ventilator, that's the way of thinking. Buying a ventilator is a bit different buying a reagents. So once you buying a ventilator, that's only once you buy, then you can continuously using only a few parts that you have to replace. That is known as accessories. So that can be disposable accessories, or it can be reusable accessories, right? In Sri Lanka, when you take Europe, only Asian countries are using the reusable accessories. But if you take States or Europe, they use disposable, right? So they can afford to do that. Like, ventilator. Ventilator. For ventilator, in order to use a ventilator, you have to have the patient circuit, right? That patient circuit in Sri Lanka is reusable. When you take a technical spec, we will do later, we'll do a technical spec. When you do a technical spec in Sri Lanka, they will ask for reusable patient circuit. If you take a technical spec in Europe, they will ask for disposable patient circuit. So that cost is high. And when you are working in a private hospital, you can ask for a disposable, because you are going to charge that amount from the patient, right? So you can do that, right? So the thing is, not when you're talking about ventilators, there can be bacteria filters that cannot be reusable. There are some reusable bacteria filters that's very expensive. So you have to see what is suitable for your hospital, right? And implantable that comes as a defibrillator. That pacing, internal pacing also come into that. computerized medical system. So equipment acquisition process. When you are acquiring equipment, there are different things you have to consider. The first thing is clinical requirement. That's what I earlier mentioned. What is the exact requirement, right? Say for an ultrasound, when the hospital want to purchase an ultrasound, you have to go to a radiologist, and you have to ask what are the requirement for him. So another thing is only radiologists use ultrasound. Who are the people use ultrasound in hospital? Who are the consultants? Gynecologists, cardiologists, and radiologists, right? So another thing you have to observe, when you are purchasing an ultrasound, you have to see who needs, right? For a gynecology or purpose, if you purchase for that, then you have to see the probes. There are different probes he needs. It can be transvaginal or convex probe, right? And if a radiologist wants to use ultrasound, he needs some additional probes as well. What else he needs? What are the probes available for ultrasound? Right? The thing is, for ultrasound, for different purpose, there are different probes are available, right? So you have to know for that requirement, are we using the proper probes, right? For cardiac purpose, they are using as phase array probes, right? For cardiologists, need a phase array probe, right, to measure the cardiac output. And for a radiologist, he needs phase array. Some very rarely use phase array, and phase array he needs convex probe. That must convex probe is commonly used, convex, and endocavity probe, right? Right. So these are the probes they need for radiologists, right? So you have to see what is his requirement. Say if it is go to a radiologist, so you should know what type of probes you have to purchase, right? And you have to do an environment survey. Say if you are buying X-ray, if you are purchasing an X-ray, then you have to see the environment. What will happen if you are purchasing X-ray? What are the factors you have to consider when you are purchasing X-ray? The radiation, right? So there will be radiation when you are doing when you are dealing with X-ray machine. So you have to do the precaution in order to prevent this radiation. So these are the factors you have to look into when you are doing environment. Survey of available equipment. The thing is, what does that mean is, so you are using the equipment, certain brands of equipment, right? Say a brand, Toshiba, you are using a Toshiba brand, and there will be some ward using some other brand for ultrasound. Then you can see what is the cost, what is the common problem for each and every brand that can occur, right? So by studying all this, you can go for the precise equipment and the more reliable equipment, right? Specification and interface control. The thing is the specification, that's very important. Certain specifications, certain doctors ask, I need this specification. Say for certain VOGs, they will ask, they need 4D imaging. Some they don't like, some VOG, they don't want to have that feature. So you have to ask whether he needs this features, then accordingly, you had to put that feature into spec. Otherwise, the companies will sell the equipment, give you without that probe, right? When the doctor gets the equipment, so he won't be getting the equipment what he want, what the accessories or the features he want, right? So you have to see what kind of specification and features the doctor needs. Solicitation and proposals. So the proposals you had to prepare it. Equipment after that, you had to floating a tender or whatever. It can be tender or limited quotation. It can be different various things of purchasing. And after that, you will do a equipment evaluation, right? So that consultant, initially consultant do a evaluation. In Sri Lanka, what happened is, initially the biomedical engineer do the technical evaluation separately, and he will pass the file to a consultant. He will do the clinical evaluation separately. So they will evaluate both together. Not only that, there are other factors. The company, they will see the company, how reliable, and the equipment and the reference is more important. When you are purchasing equipment, this more important thing is reference, right? So that kind of things also you have to consider. So vendor selection, so you have to see what companies are reliable. There are companies, they will say we will give lifetime warranty. After the tender, they will disappear. The company won't exist. So these are things in practical, these things are happening, right? You have to be aware of these things. And the contracts, when you are calling for a tender, floating for a tender, you have to see what type of contract, service contract, right? First thing, you have to ask for the maximum possible warranty, right? Warranty, they will replace all the parts and spare parts. There are consumable accessories, it not be covered under warranty. After warranty period, it can be 1 year, 2 years, it depends on what you're requesting, right? If you request more, normally is 1 year. If you request 2 years or 3 years, then the price also will goes up, right? After the warranty period, you have to go for a service contract, right? So normally in a service contract, there are different things you have to consider. In Sri Lanka, what they are doing is, they will go for very high valuable equipment for the service agreement. For the patient monitor, that kind of thing, which is somewhere around 1.5 million, they are not keen about the service contract. If anything more than 2.5 million, they will go for a service contract, right? Even in the service contract, there are two different type of options available. It's also like an insurance policy, right? So two type of service available. One is only preventive maintenance, and the other one is with spare parts. That is more expensive service agreement. So how you are going to choose which one I'm going to buy, which one I'm going to go for, it's only for labor or only for the spare parts. So there are certain, this why the inventory is very important. You have to maintain an inventory. On the inventory, you can study what kind of faults has happened, what kind of parts being replaced, and looking into that, you can come to a conclusion that certain times it will be beneficial going for a full service agreement. That means labor and parts, right? So you can save a lot of money on that. Sometimes you won't find that machine won't very easily break. Those are very hardy machines. So if you think that machine will reliable, then you can go for a service only agreement. That means they will come and do 4 service a year, and they will check and they will do a calibration. And after that, once the contract is signed, you will go for a purchase requisition, and after that, the equipment, you will accepting the equipment. So do you have any questions you can ask? So it's more have to be interactive rather than I'm talking. Any question? So if you want to know certain things, I can explain about the equipment. So first, what are the equipments available in ICU? What are the equipments available in ICU? Sorry, ventilators one. Sorry, I couldn't get you. Cardiac monitor, yeah, monitor. Sorry, SACA machines that can be available in the wards as well. It's essential in ICU as well, right? Yeah. Most important, multi-para monitor is very important. With, as I mentioned, with ETCO2 and IBP, the 2 options, right? That price is normally higher than the normal basic parameter. Ventilator, patient monitor, pulse oximeter, cardiac. That's known as defibrillator. Right? So that's known as defibrillator is must. What are the other equipment? And transport X-ray also is must. You can't take the patient, a seriously ill patient, into X-ray room. So it's better to have a portable X-ray, and you can bring the X-ray and you can take the X-ray from the bed. Okay. Now there is in addition to this, now there's a trend becoming the most of the ICU, who is in charge for ICUs, mainly anesthetists. So nowadays there's a trend is coming. Now they also want to use ultrasound machines. So now in some of the ICUs you can see they are using some ultrasound equipment. Right? For that purpose, they need only one probe, that is known as linear probe. Right? So that's why that's what I earlier also mentioned, that when you are ordering certain equipment for radiologists is different when you are ordering some other doctors like anesthetists. They want only the linear probe, right, to see the superficial image, right? So they need higher frequency. Right? So any questions? You have to talk, you have to ask questions, then only. Okay. And when you are doing an environment survey, following things you had to observe: the space, power, the weight of the product, the temperature range, whether it is vibrating. Some MRIs, they can vibrate. You can feel the vibration. You have to consider things. The thing is, when you're having an MRI equipment and nearby you are using ultrasound, there can be interference. So you have to observe various things, right? Explosive or flammable environment, or humidity and moisture. Some equipment, it doesn't resist the moisture, so you have to observe that. Applicable and standards. The power, when you are before purchasing anything, you have to see the power is very important. Why is so important? Say if you are purchasing something from Japan, or if you are purchasing something from States, you have to see the power. Power is different. They are using 110 voltage. In Sri Lanka, we are using 220 or 240. So if you are buying something from States, if they send equipment which can use only for 210, then you are in trouble, right? And if you are buying something from Japan, then if they send the power is 110, they are using power source, the voltage is 110, then you cannot use this equipment. Then you can do it, but then you have to have a step up, step down transformer. Then those are additional costs. Those are not reliable. That kind of thing. So you have to consider power. That's one thing. There's another thing. When you are purchasing equipment, you have to see there can be single phase and there can be three phase. Right? There are certain equipments, you may say certain motors work on three phase. Right? When you order for single phase, what single phase mean is, so these plugs are single phase. Right? There are certain equipments that need a lot of power. So when you give power from this power, that's not sufficient. That need more amperes, more current to activate those equipment. So for that, there is known as three phase power source, right? So you have to see when you are requesting, or when you are floating a tender, in the specification you have to clearly mention, I need a three phase or a single phase power source, right? So there are instances happen at I remember at Jawaharlal Hospital. They asked for a single phase portable X-ray. The X-ray which was sent is a three phase X-ray. So when they plug into that X-ray, what will happen? Plug into three phase, then you will get sudden voltage drop. So they experience a lot of issues and a lot of hassles after that. So that kind of things can occur if you are not properly putting the specification what you want, right? And the weight, what kind of weight, where we can keep, right? So, and the temperature range, there are certain equipments you have to keep in a certain level of temperature, right? You can't keep certain equipments in a high temperature, so you have to maintain a level of temperature, right? So these are things you have to. and it can be vibration, especially MRI. Those are very vibration, and electric magnetic effect that can be, especially MRI, that kind of things. It can produce a lot of magnetic effect. So that's what I already mentioned, that if you're having a MRI room and nearby ultrasound, you can when you are doing ultrasound scaling, you can experience a lot of interference, right? Can occur due to this. So when you're planning certain things, you have to say where have to keep this equipment and where to keep the other equipment what we are going to have next door. Right? You have to see whether those are explosive or flammable type, and humidity and moisture, and you have to see the standards. So the survey of available equipment, you had to do a literature search. You had to search about the company and the vendor contact, get a running cost estimate, and iteration, decision, combination, and state-of-art development. So the thing is, when you are buying equipment, it has to be updated equipment, right? There are ventilators still working in some of the hospitals more than 20 years, 25 years, without any problem. But now the technology has improved a lot, right? You can use that ventilator, but it's not helpful. It's not more informative. Those are updated, right? So you have when you are buying a thing, you have to study all the latest thing, the latest technical features. So which is benefit clinically is going to benefit for the patient. So you have to see you have to study the variance. The medical market is all about the knowledge. You have to update your knowledge. Right? If you are not updating the knowledge about the medical equipment, you won't get you will be in the past, but you won't get the knowledge what you want, right? So you have to keep on update the knowledge about medical equipment. That's very important, because the things can be changed rapidly in medical. Like earlier in ultrasound, they don't have electrosonography, right? Now they have introduced electrosonography. So those are additional features. This will be help to check the breast cancer, right? So if you are buying with this feature, this will help you to detect. Otherwise, you have to take biopsy, and it's more painful. So if you have just electrosonography, so you can check whether there is a chance of having a cancer or not, right? So this way you have to study and update your knowledge. Updating the knowledge for medical equipment is a must. And when you are buying equipment from a certain company or certain brand, you have to see certain things. That is system performance. You have to check the system performance. How you are going to check? Say if you are going to buy a new product for your hospital, and you didn't know about that brand, right? So how you are going to get an idea whether this brand is good or not? What are the approach you will take? Anybody do? When you are buying a patient monitor, right? So a certain brand, when you float a tender, you will get various kind of brands, numerous brands, right? but it can be cheap and inferior quality. Right? So you have to find a most cost effective. That's most important thing. You can buy a very expensive monitor. It's not cost effective. Right? So you have to buy a equipment that value for the money. Right? So what kind of approach you will make in order to buy certain equipment? Yeah, reputation. That's one important thing. As I mentioned, there are companies, right? They will float the tender and they will say they will give lifetime warranty, and after that they will disappear. Right? The company won't exist. So you have to see that is very, very important. The second thing, yeah, brand also say there can be brand is yeah, one factor. Brand is very important thing is the reference. Right? If you're buying a certain money, if some reputed hospitals are using certain monitors for such a long time, you can get the output from them. Right? They will say this monitor we are working with this monitor for 5 years without any problem, a minor problem. So you know that monitor. And then very important thing is after sales service. You can buy a good product, but if you don't have an after sales service, no point of buying. If something goes wrong, right, then you have to dispose the equipment. So that's why system performance and physical construction. So you have to see it's construction. Sometimes you'll buy equipment that are very bulky, right? Right. So so you had to avoid that kind of thing. And reliability, that's what you have to go through the reference. And if you're using that equipment for certain times in your hospital, then you can go through your inventory also. When you go through, we are going to talk these things sometimes over and over again. The topics are almost similar, right? When you are talking about maintenance also, these things going to come up, right? So human factors and cost is more important. So the cost, in a sense, there are some instances. There are some the big reputed, one of the private reputed hospital. What they did is, when you call a tender, there are ventilators, right? There are certain different price, different functions available. Some ventilator doesn't have those features, technical features. So you have to pay more money additionally in order to purchase. Sometimes you have to purchase 2 or 3 times than the basic feature, right? So they bought that equipment, but unfortunately they are not using that features, right? So there's no point. There's a cost was involved. So there's a private hospital. So you can get the return in investment, but it will take some time. Right? So you have to see when you are buying a product what doctors really need, and doctor will say they want the sophisticated, the latest, but they won't use the features. They will use 1 or 2 features of that particular equipment. They not utilize the entire spectrum of that particular equipment. Right? So this is a very common thing is happening in Sri Lanka. Right? The money is being wasted a lot because they didn't know the proper knowledge, and they don't have the proper idea of what kind of equipment should suit for that doctor. And the equipment accuracy, right? So accuracy means there are equipments, the tolerance, the measurement tolerance. Say if you are having, you will hear this term very frequently for SpO2 when you are monitoring SpO2 probe. There are technology called Masimo, Nelco, and there are other company technology. What that mean, Masimo and Nelco? There are certain different algorithms available in the market, right? So if you say Masimo, that is more accurate, right? So if a Philips monitor is producing a SpO2, it can be Philips SpO2 with their algorithm. Algorithm means to measure certain things, and there are certain research has produced certain product that will give more accurate, right? So there is another scientist can produce similar kind of thing with a different algorithm, but the results is same, but the accuracy point of view, the accuracy is more higher and certain equipment. So Masimo is known to be as a gold standard for SpO2, right? It measure accurately, right? For that, the cost will be high, right? Second one, Nelco also good algorithm, so that a bit of less cost, and other thing, the like Philips, they have their own algorithm, or Neocoden brand, they have their own algorithm that is less cost, because they have to purchase those items from outsource. They have to outsource those items into. That's why its cost is more. So this is what mean by accuracy. There are certain algorithms have more accuracy, but you have to pay more. Then you have to check whether that is worth of going for this. And it can be interchangeable or upgradable. Say certain things, certain in ultrasound, certain features. If you buy initially for a radiology purpose, right, and later on there will be a this is commonly happen in Sri Lanka. They will buy a ultrasound for a radiology purpose. Suddenly there will be a cardiologist started to come. So he will ask whether can I use this ultrasound for a cardiology purpose. Then what you have to do is you have to upgrade the software, cardiology software, into the ultrasound. So you have to see if there is a chance like that, then when you purchase certain things, then you have to be upgrade the cardiology software, cardiac software, known as cardiac software, right? So that also you have to consider when you are purchasing certain things, right? Why we are doing this? The goal of doing is safety, utility, effectiveness, efficiency, and usability. So that's the whole point of doing that. Any questions? Anything you want to know? I will be giving these slides after my presentation. You can take these slides. So anything you want to know, so you can ask. Because I am teaching from a general level, because I didn't know what kind of a standard you need. If it is too high, then you have to tell me what you exactly need. So for instance, if you are having a MRI kind of thing, then you have to see the maintenance cost also, right? For MRI, you have to fill helium gas each and every year, because that magnet is run on a magnet. It's not a permanent magnet. It's a temporary magnet. In order to get the magnetic effect, you have to fill helium gas, right? So that also you have to consider when you are purchasing something. And when you are purchasing an MRI, you have to have a chamber, RF chamber. You have to prepare that kind of thing. So various factors you have to consider. So any questions, please? Boring. If you know this equipment, will be a bit easy. Nothing? Sorry? Yeah. Yeah. Standard in, you mean different brands? Yeah. One brand. One brand for one floor. One unit for a one floor. Yeah, you cannot do because cardiac monitor, if you have 8 beds, you should have 8 at least. Yeah, no, for anything, at least not only you are monitoring cardiac heart ECG, but you are monitoring saturation level also, the temperature, right? So it's better each and every bed should have one cardiac monitor. But ICU can be in Sri Lanka, the percentage is going like um 70 to 80%. Normally, how many beds in ICU in Sri Lanka? Yeah, 8 to 12. There are some places we go to for places that you will find somewhere around 5, 3, 4 ICU beds are available. Right? So normally 8 to 12 is a universal standard. Why you can have 50 bed of ICUs? Why they are not giving? Oh, they are giving only 8, and they are keeping only 8 to 12. Then you will get more focus on patients. But these are critical care patients, so that's the main reason. Rather than having loads of patients, then you will lose the focus on patient. So in Sri Lanka, the percentage of patient monitor is somewhere around 70 to 80%. That means if you have 10 beds, they are having somewhere around 7 patient monitors. But when you are take ventilators, that's very costly equipment, right? So it's somewhere around 50. The ratio is coming 50. You have 10 beds, only 5 beds having ventilator. When you are working in a hospital environment, you will knowing that lot of transfers. If they don't have a ventilator, then they will transfer to another hospital. They will call to another hospital and ask, do you have a ventilator is available? Then they will transfer from Puttalam to Maravilla or Maravilla to. So that kind of things taking place in Sri Lanka. So everyone wish to have all the beds, but the financial thing, the budget won't allow to do that. So after the break, what we'll do is we will do a kind of a role play. You are going to do a project. I will tell you what to do. So we will divide into 2 groups, right? So you are going to give the proposal how to go for it. So I will ask some questions, right? So it will more interactive. Then even though you won't understand right now, then you'll start to understand different way, right? So the theory is different. When you are working in a practical, it's a totally different, right? Because we study like this, for example, um, we study all those things, and when we go for we say standards, right? I told that in Sri Lanka, certain standard. When you order equipment, we say UK standard. What is the standard in Sri Lanka? British standard, right? So we also imported equipment, and on a British standard basis, and we took the equipment to hospital at Peradeniya, a particular ward, and we assume all the oxygen and air supplies are British standard, but unfortunately it was not. It is a Japanese standard. Why it is Japanese standard? Because this was donated by a funded project. That's a JICA project, right? So even though study theory, but in a practical, the things are different. So that's why very important the interactive session. So after this break, we will do a more like a role play. So I will ask questions. You have to understand what kind of way we had to think when you purchase equipment. Okay, right? And what the time the break is? What the time? So another question is another thing is international purchasing. You cannot import medical equipment like you are importing TV or other equipment like from a country. Right? There are certain restrictions for medical equipment because this is going to involve with life. So the countries, not all the countries, some of the countries having strict laws when you are importing certain stuff to Sri Lanka or America or Europe countries, right? So what is the need for having a law like this? To protect patient or the people, because it can be inferior quality products can come into the country, right? Right. So the other thing, prevent country becoming a dumping ground. What is that? There are certain products. If that didn't produce the result, what they do is they will sell for cheap or outdated products. They sell cheap for countries like third world countries or African countries, right? So in order to prevent such kind of things, we should have a regulatory commission. Protect the domestic manufacturer, and not only that, if someone is manufacturing from Sri Lanka, you have to give a chance to that own country, right? So you have to see various things. So what is known as in Sri Lanka Cosmetic Device and Drug Act, CDDA. You know where it is in Sri Lanka? Have you seen this place? If you go to Asari Central, it's next to Asari Central, SCDDA. Right? It was established in 1980. I will give you an article after that, so you can go through entire document. I have a document, so you can go through entire document. So the device registration is about quality, effectiveness, safety, and durability. So what is the application process? So a company like us, if we want to introduce certain equipment or certain medical product, we have to give product name, and there is a list of, I will show you, there is a list. From that list, they will ask certain thing, the test where they have done, the manufacturer certificate, where these items been manufactured, what are the country have, what are the countries you got the CDDA, like each and every country has this kind of thing. So the country license you have to produce, and the labels you have to produce in order to get a CDDA. It's not you can get it overnight, but it will take some time. At least there are instances it 2 years, or there are product we try to get a CDDA more than 1 year. There are instances they got the CDDA registration within 2-3 weeks, right? And the thing is, it's depend on the product also. If it is more complex, the product is more complex to handle, then it will go to a consultant, right? And he will evaluate. After that, he will pass that file to the CDDA, and you will get the approval. The Drug Act and Cosmetic Act has relevant standardization and registration in place, cover equipments, it's well regulated, good infrastructure for implementation. Right. In like Sri Lanka CDDA, there is more effective thing in America that is known as FDA. This is very important. FDA, if you have FDA mark for certain equipment, that's almost 95% you know that machine is really good. To get a FDA is not easy, right? That is, in America, they won't say if a product is manufactured in Germany, then they won't give a FDA for that product very easily, right? What they do is they analyze how these equipments are performing out of USA, right? Then getting all those reports, and if the reports are favorable, they ask to produce for FDA, and there are certain registration will take place for FDA registration. The FDA registration is not that easy, right? Once, even though it's registered as a FDA registered product, like we are doing a Newport ventilator that is coming from States, if anything goes wrong, in the sense, if anything happened to the patient, we have to inform the company as well as FDA, right? So, and immediately the company has to reply to us as well as FDA what was happened, what could be the cause, right? If this kind of things can happen for number of people, the same things, right? Then immediately they will publish in FDA called recall certain equipments, right? So what will happen if they, you can see that's also very good thing when you're buying a certain equipment. Immediately you can go to Google, right? Say certain models. Say if you're going to buy a ventilator GE and Strong, right? What I did is I typed that thing in the Google and FDA recall. Immediately you will find if they have recall, then you can see that is updated in the website. There's something wrong with that machine, right? So even that there are different class of recall, class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 1 is the most severe recall. That means you have to consider, and the company has to resolve that issue very quickly. So these are things very important. FDA, that's why FDA has a very good standard. just to have market their product, but that also benefit in certain way. There's another good example. I think when you are quoting for these patient monitors in Sri Lanka, there are one company is going to quote for patient monitors. The challenge is almost all these patient monitors going to have the specification what you have quoted, right? Then the thing is, when they quoted like this, you cannot reject them. If you reject, they will question you, right? Then in that case, there are certain cases what they do is they add FDA requirement. Then you can filter most of the inferior quality products, right? So this is a very important tool. Like it was happened for DFib in Sri Lanka. There are Chinese DFib. DFib is a very critical equipment. If it fails, the patient going to die, right? So there are reliable names. DFib companies are only few products available in Sri Lanka. There is an inferior quality Chinese product also came into the market. So they also have all the features what we quote, right? Thing is, we cannot reject, we have to take, but we know at a point this product is going to fail. This failed already, we have evidence, right? So how to filter them? We put FDA requirement, then they are out of the tender. So you have to think different way how to do things. These are practical things. These won't come into theories. What we study, we won't come. These things won't come. But you have to use these things in practical. And EU, they have a standard called CE standard, active as FDA kind of a standard. But they will, if you give a product and if you demonstrate, you're likely to get a CE mark. So this is not that kind of a effectiveness, right? So in order to register CDDA, say if you're having a product manufactured from Germany, then you can show a CE certificate will more than enough to register in Sri Lanka. But if the product is coming from America, and that doesn't have a FDA, but if that has a CE, you cannot register in Sri Lanka. Right? So those are things you have to consider. So these are things involved in the registration. In India, they don't have equipment registration. They can import any medical equipment. And also another thing, in Sri Lanka, you cannot sell refurbished equipment in Sri Lanka. But in other, you can. In America, there is a refurbished market. But in Sri Lanka, there is no refurbished market. But only thing you can do is if anyone want to donate reconditioned equipment, then they can donate. But they cannot sell in Sri Lanka. So this is also one thing when you are dealing equipment in Sri Lanka, you cannot. There is no refurbished market for medical equipment. So who are the people involved in the CDDA? The CDDA is registration. Who are the people who involved in this registration? The CDDA, when you have to submit CDDA, and sometimes that product will go to a consultant, and he has to evaluate, and manufacturer company and the service provider has to give the details. Objectives: providing notification of essential principles, provide for risk-based classification of device. Another thing, if anything recalls comes, immediately they will inform to CDDA. CDDA will inform to the company, you have to do the necessary thing. Right? There are certain things happening. One company, they did ventilators, and it was recalled. And even that FDA recall, then that company, the manufacturer, has to give the solution, right? You can by updating this software. That's the solution. Then they will inform to CDDA. They are going to do like this. Then they will allow, and you have to do in a given time frame. Guidelines and provide mechanism for conformity, provide a post-market surveillance system, provide for enforcement. So this will issue principle of safety, design and manufacturing requirement, performance evaluation, demonstration of device, standard testing and compliance, regulation of post-marketing follow-up, regulation of recalls, registration and punishment for the non-compliance. So if you are registering a product at CDDA, so these are the things they are going to ask. You have to get a quality certificate, which was I mentioned. If it is coming from Germany, you can show a CE certificate, that is more than enough, right? If it is coming from America, you can't show a CE certificate, you have to show a FDA certificate, original pre-sale certificate, right? The people who produce should have this pre-sale certificate, right? List of countries, product which your sales. So you have to give what are the countries right now using this product. You have to give that detail, and the product, original product brochures, manufacturer product list, other countries registration certificate like CDDA. There are Bangladesh, they have a different kind of a registration. So if you show that kind of thing, this will expedite your things, and it will make easy to get the CDDA registration. At workout carton and product label, you have to give the product label and test report. When you produce a certain equipment, you have to give the test report where this been tested, and the results of this tested has to produce. If you have quality management system standard or an analyze certificate, and technical data also you have to produce. So when you want to register a product in CDDA, this is the requirement. You have to produce all these certificates. So this is the guideline for registration of medical device in Sri Lanka. So I will give this soft copy, or if you want a hard copy, I can give it to you. You can take photocopy. This is one. So this is the one. So you can take if you want photocopies, or if you want a soft copy. So any questions? Any questions on registration? No questions? So these topics are almost similar when you're talking about management and medical device. Is going to come over and over again. The same things going to be repeated, right? So when you are buying equipment, you have to have a system of management, acquiring equipment, delivery of new piece of equipment, training, instruction, appropriation and prescription of device, maintenance and repair, demonstration, removal from service. So you have to consider all these items. System of management responsibility and policies, device management procedure, deployment, putting policies into practice, monitoring and audit, reporting adverse incidents. So these are things you have to, like as I mentioned, if something wrong with certain equipment, you have to report to the company, who the service provider, and if it is necessary, if it's a FDA, they have to inform to the FDA department. This kind of things, and monitoring and audit is very important. So these are things when it comes to for a tender, for evaluation, these things are very important. Monitoring, when you monitor certain things, you will know what kind of problems you experience with the equipment. Acquiring equipment, safety, quality, and performance, acquisition policies. The thing is, acquisition policies, it may different from different place. For example, RDS, RDHS in Sri Lanka, in hospitals, how they are, all the government hospitals, how they are getting the funds is a different ways. Like provincial is some of the hospitals directly getting the equipments from line ministry, right? Some of the hospital getting the funds from the provincial, PDHS, we are calling it PDHS. Some of the hospitals getting funds from the RDHS, Regional Health Service Department, right? So these things you have to consider. Why it's important is certain hospital cannot go beyond certain budgets, right? For RDHS kind of the hospitals which is coming RDHS, they cannot go more than 500,000 in Sri Lanka. The equipment, if it is the equipment is something around 2 million, then they have to give their request to the PDHS. Right? So that kind of things you have to consider when you are purchasing equipment. Method of acquisition, there are different way of you can buy equipment, that is you can buy directly from Sri Lankan rupees, right? So you can buy it from direct LC. In certain instances, they will ask for direct LC. That means you are quoting your equipment on dollars, right? That means you are buying directly. Sometimes this directly getting is you will have benefit because the price is reduced, because you are not paying the tax. The government have a tax exemption, so you can get things less than if you are buying from a company. Factors to consider before acquisition: documentation and monitoring the acquisition cycle. When you're buying certain things, when you're buying a patient monitor, you have in mind it should work at least 5 years, right? So after 5 years, it should work. Then you have to plan accordingly, right? What are the expenses is going to take if you are using this one? What are the accessories you need for 5 years? That kind of expenses you should have an idea. Importance of acceptance checks, special consideration, using equipment for the first time, legal requirement for electrical safety and testing. Legal requirement, there are certain legal things are associated with this medical equipment purchasing. When you are purchasing like radiation equipment, right? The atomic, you have to inform the atomic research center. They will come and do a research what kind of emissions is going, and when they give everything is okay, then only you can perform X-rays and MRI, that kind of activities. Yes, sometimes some products can be radioactive. So they will give an idea. You can consult them. So they are the authority people. You give the right to do. Training training is very important. Policies on training. So the thing is, when a company when you're using a certain brand, sometimes this interface is different when you are buying from a different company, right? Then say for example, you want to go for a calibration, then you have to go in a different machine in a different location. So for that you need a training, and when you are buying with additional, you need a training to how to use these features efficiently. Training for professional users, training for end users, training for repair and maintenance. Uh, the thing is, nowadays the problem is they won't train for repairing. The company will provide, right? There are certain hospitals, only I came across only Javandapura. They will ask for the service and maintenance service manual. Normally, the company provide only the user manual, how to use the equipment. They won't provide the repair manual, service manual, right? So that means you have to pay for them to do the after sales service. That's the bottom line of that. So the importance of effective instruction for the end user, policies, criteria for choosing a device, maintenance and repair, management policy for medical device, choosing an appropriate maintenance and repair service. So what this means is, as I mentioned earlier, when you are going for a maintenance agreement, you have to choose what kind of a maintenance agreement you are going to go. You are going to for only the service or with spare parts. So with spare parts is always very costly option, right? There are some instances that will benefit, like there are certain equipments. Most of the time, you can see the motherboard is getting burned or motherboard is malfunction. Then in that case, you have to buy a motherboard that is very costly. Right? If you that's why the uh, that's why it's important to have a record or inventory to go through all those things. So you can see if the motherboard is burned for 3 times per year, right? Then it's better to go for a full service agreement. Right? So some equipments won't break down often, so you can go for a service only. So they will come and do. Another thing, not only that, there's a thing called calibration. For medical equipment, is a must. For certain, say, for certain equipments, not all the equipments having, but certain equipments having this thing. Like ventilator, you have to do a calibration every 3 months, because after certain months, it will lose the accuracy. Right? Say you are giving a tidal volume to a patient. The ventilator will give a gas, the required gas to the patient. Right? What you see is not actually what the patient gets. This is why the calibration is important. It may fail after some time. Service contract, plan, prevention, maintenance, spare parts and other components, routine maintenance by user, breakdowns, legal ability and insurance. When you are taking the equipment out of the cycle, you have to plan for the replacement, and you have to see whether this can be disposable or decommission, sale, or sometimes you can donate. There are instances in Australia. What they do is, after using several years, those machines are really good. but those are very high equipment, high end equipment. So they donate Sri Lanka, that kind of countries, and they'll get the updated version. But for us, it's a luxury. So these kind of things also there. So it's time for break. Okay. So after the break, we'll do a practical how in practical how you are going to experience certain things. We'll do we'll divide into two groups, right? So we will do a project kind of thing. Then you will understand what kind of a how to think in order to do this kind of a paper or exam. So there are in practical issues you won't encounter when you are studying like this. So in a real world, you will encounter certain issues. So we talk about that, and so it's more going to be interactive than this. Okay. So I will give this slide. So after the practical session, when you go through these slides, you will understand better. Sometimes you won't be understand all what I said, but after that you can understand a lot going through these slides. Okay.